Coach's Timeout with Nigel and Christophe, the podcast.
Please welcome the team of Luxembourg. Number 2, Yannick Verdila. Number 3, Ivan Delgado. Number 6, Max Schmidt. Number 7, Philip Buckenkamp. Number 11, captain of the team, Alex Laurent. Number 12, Joe Gomez. Number 13, Dan Kovacs. Number 15, Oliver Ujakovic. Number 21, Gaetan Ferdinand. Number 22, Bob Melcher. And number 31, Clancy Rowe. Luxembourg coach and Dietrich.
Hi, welcome to Coach's Timeout, the podcast, and we are here for a very special episode. My name is Coach Nigel Tolentino, head coach of Black Frog Sheeran, and with me is, of course, my tag team partner, Coach Christophe Nye from Arancia Lorchet. And so, Christophe, you have a lot to unpack today. It's a special episode, so how did you find the game?
Yeah, you talk about the game from yesterday where Luxembourg won in Kosovo. The second game they won in a row, and which is a huge success. I don't remember when that happened for the last time that Luxembourg won 2 games in a row in qualification, in the qualification process. And there's a lot to talk about on this, and that's what we're going to do today.
All right. So before we go and talk about the game itself, let's throw it back to Coach Ken Diderich out there in Kosovo, who sent us this video message.
Yeah, so for us, yesterday was obviously a great performance. We moved the ball like we planned. We were attacking them according to the game plan, and we knew that they had problems on the second rotation. So we tried to get them into a pick and roll and get them on. Get the ball moving after the extra pass, have the extra pass and move them a bit from side to side. So for us, I think that it was a dominating performance. We led most of the game, and when they came back, we were able to hold on and make some big plays towards the end. I thought the bench was great, the atmosphere was great, and we knew that they had a different team than in Slovakia. So they have really good players. Maybe you didn't see it yesterday throughout the game, but they have 8-9 guys who can really play. Obviously they have 12 professionals. So for us, it's a huge achievement to beat Kosovo in Kosovo, and the atmosphere around the gym and the hotel was a hostile environment. I think that it's always difficult to play over here, and we're extremely happy to achieve this and to win our second game in a row actually, and have a chance to qualify against Iceland. Hoping that Kosovo beats Slovakia and us beating Iceland.
Okay, so we heard from Coach Ken Diderich out there in Kosovo. And, like we were talking about, most of the points that he raised in that 1-minute video were basically points that we ourselves were talking about prior to making this podcast episode. So let's start from the first quarter. Were there any surprises for you here? Luxembourg went in there undermanned with 11 guys without Thomas Grun, who had to sit out the game or the bubble itself. Were there any surprises for you at the beginning of the first quarter?
Not really. Based on what we saw in the last game in Slovakia, for me it was not really a surprise that Ivan Delgado was in the starting lineup. When you check the game, Luxembourg always wanted to have two ball handlers on the court. So Coach Diderich, he decided to bring Ivan Delgado next to Frederick Gutenkopf in the starting lineup. And right from the start, you could see already how confident Luxembourg was. Directly, the first play out of the tip-off, it was perfectly executed for an open three-point shot for Alex Laurent that went in. And from that moment on, Luxembourg was full of confidence and immediately was there in that first quarter where Kosovo was still hanging in with some individual plays and using their size in the paint. but Luxembourg continued to execute their game plan perfectly.
Hmm. And yeah, you mentioned Ivan Delgado, and to me, he really, really played heads-up basketball for the entire game. In the first quarter, we also had Philip Gutenkopf, like you said, taking big. He took one big shot. Like there was that one dribble pull-up that he made over an outstretched defender's arms, and yeah, like you said, confidence was high. Alex was just hitting threes, but kind of they weren't marking him from outside. I don't. Do you think that the scouting was there for? I mean, Alex basically hit like 4 open threes in the game.
Yeah, I mean, let's say it like this. I mean, most of the teams that are facing Luxembourg, they are physically stronger and taller. And what that means is you're normally you're not as fast as the Luxembourg players. And Luxembourg really plays a four guys out offense with only Clancy Ruck being as inside player. And if you see the lineup that Kosovo had, they had a starting center of 2 meter 12. They had wings that were 2 meter 2, 2 meter 5. For them, it's tough. I mean, to run around with an athletic wing like Alex Laurent, it's a tough job. And if you have teammates that set good screens to free him up, I mean, yeah, that's what Luxembourg was looking for. And in the beginning, they did that really well.
Hmm. And Ivan, I mean, I love his pick and roll playmaking. Like his playmaking off of pick and roll, he was able to get some wide open shots for his teammates there.
Yeah, he had some good connections with Oliver Jakovic, who read well the screen, the pick and roll defense of the Kosovo team by slipping, and even found him twice in a row. I think somewhere in the middle of the first quarter for some layups, and yeah, even he was really up to what was expected from him. And you could really see how in this setting of the national team he's a key player already.
Hmm. Yeah, and for a young player like him, this bodes well for his further improvement. One player, you mentioned also Clancy Rugg. Like I think he took like 19 free throws for the entire game, and you could see he was being mauled, and I mean, not mauled, but he was basically being roughed up inside. But he stood his ground. He was basically the rock on the defensive end.
Yeah, he was not retreating. So he was really there where it mattered most. So he was not only on the defensive end, but he also was very very present on offensive rebounds, and he created a lot of second chances on the missed shots by the Luxembourgish shooters. And yeah, he showed and proved once again that he's above this level. He's playing on a higher level, and here in this setting, he has to run the 5 spot, but he can also evolve as a stretch big because he can shoot the ball, and yeah, he's key also for Ken Didrich and his team.
Hmm. And in the first quarter, or probably in the first half, like Coach Ken mentioned, they played almost perfect. And Luxembourg really played fast paced. It was transition basketball at its finest. You could see the ball was zipping up and down the floor, everyone was looking for open teammates, passing off good shots for great shots, like how you would really want basketball to be played, you know. And I think most of that came from the point guard spots or from the ball handling spots, and especially with the return of one very very important guard in Bobby Melcher.
Yes, I mean Bobby, he was really good in replacing Thomas Grün, who was not there, and yeah, coming from the bench, he looked like perfectly integrated. Didn't make a lot of mistakes. He shared the ball. He had one or two nice steals with his long arms, and yeah, I mean, if you have such a player coming from the bench, that's really good for the team because I mean the roster, as you mentioned, was pretty short this time. So there were only 9 guys who were playing, and I think Max Schmidt and Joey Kalmus played only like five minutes or so. So it was really down to a 7-man rotation. And if you have then a player like Bobby coming from the bench like this, that was really important. And what you mentioned in the beginning also was how Luxembourg really shared the ball. It was really the opposition to how Kosovo played. And I mean, if you watch the game, Kosovo offense was mostly one-on-one play by the point guard, by Divine Miles, who really is a good one-on-one player, but he was not very effective in what he did. And if he didn't try to score, I mean, it was the other players from the Kosovo team that, they just were jacking up shots, and it was not really an organized and structured team play like we saw from the Luxembourg team.
You mentioned Divine Miles. I think he finished with like 21 points, but his plus minus is also like negative 21. And I saw from the game, like you said, he is a really good one-on-one player, but you can see sometimes that he just tries to force it. But before we go and check over to the Kosovo side, I also just wanted to mention Bobby Melcher. To me, every time Kosovo threatened to come close or to overtake the lead, you'd always find Bobby there. You know, there was this one big three he hit on the corner, and then another steal that led to a layup. Every time he would be down 2 or 1, you would always have Bobby come up with big shots, and I think that was really, really huge for the confidence level. And you mentioned Joey Kalmas also and Max Schmidt. They played maybe 5 minutes or so, but at this point, like Joey hit some shots, and he was basically battling it out under the basket as well as Clancy's only replacement for the center position.
Yeah, I mean, when I said they played only 5 minutes, that was not negative at all. I mean,
yeah, of course,
they had a role which they fulfilled, and it was perfectly done. I mean, how to say? I mean, on this level, coach goes to the players that are capable of playing 30 minutes on this level, and with Clancy playing how he played this game, I mean, he needed some rest. I mean, he absolutely needed some rest, because if you're the only big guy really in there in the battle against those physical players, and when Joey came in, he immediately hit a 3-point shot, which was huge at that moment as well. And that was perfect replacement for Clancy Ryan.
All right. We also really have to talk about 2 big stalwarts in this game, and they've been solid all throughout. This campaign, the past 5 games. Oliver Vujakovic and Alex Laurent. I think Oliver Vujakovic finished with 19. Is that
19 points, and he had fantastic game. I mean, he had 9 from 11 field goals, so just missing 2 shots. He had 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 26 efficiency, which was the highest for the Luxembourg team, plus minus of 11. I mean, he's not the most spectacular player, but he does all these things that. No, he's not flashy, but I mean, if you just read that stat line, it speaks for itself.
Exactly.
And, that shows how important he is and why he plays 36 minutes.
And Alex Laurent, solid all throughout from the get-go, from the beginning until the end. He was just, his game has really blossomed, I believe.
Yes, I mean, he's the Luxembourgish player who currently plays on the highest level internationally by being a key contributor for a top-level team in Austria. And Alex, he was not in foul trouble this time, so that gave the possibility to play a lot of minutes and be present in the break. I mean, he's very, very good fast break player with his athleticism and his ability to score. And when his shot is falling, well, he's tough to guard on this level, and he can also play defense. Don't forget that. So overall, very good game, and he had the best plus minus of the team.
And there was, I think, in the 158 mark of the game, and I think we were only up by 5. And at this point, with 3 minutes left in the game, Kosovo was going to Castrati. You know, he was they were going there. The coach took the timeout. He said, "All right," pointed at Castrati and said, "We're going to you." And at 158, after he makes a basket, he goes again, straight attacks, and Alex just takes that charge. And I think that was a real turning point in the game too. Like that preserved that 5 point lead, because if it was just a two basket difference at that point.
Yeah, I mean, those last 2 minutes of the game, it was like Kosovo played really bad, I must say, and it was only 1-on-1. There was no structure anymore, and it was hero ball. For me, it really looked like hero ball, and you saw that Castrati wanted to win the game, Miles wanted to win the game, but they didn't see the other players of the team, so they just took the ball, tried to attack. Luxembourg defense was collapsing, giving all the shots open on the wings, but neither Castrati nor Miles saw the open shooters and just tried to force up something against 2 or 3 players. And out of this, Luxembourg got breaks and just finished the game.
In the second quarter, I think we were up by 11, and then they went on a 6. We were up 16, and then they went on a 6-0 run to finish the second quarter, and that cut it down to 9. Right, so at that point it was like a 9-point lead up from 16. You would have felt that we could have blown that game at halftime, but hey, basketball's a game of runs. Start of the third quarter, Kosovo again went on like a 6-0 run before Olive Vujakovic hit a big 3. Like at this point in the game, you could see the poise of the Luxembourg players just shining through. Like they were not panicked, they were not looking scared. They kept their heads up, kept their heads in the game, and that's testament to I think what Coach Ken was mentioning in our first podcast, the overall collective growth of the team.
Yes, I mean, Luxembourg nearly never lost control of the game. They had 2 or 3 phases where Kosovo had their runs, but that was mainly when they made 2 or 3 shots in a row. It was not that Luxembourg was playing bad. It was just like 1 or 2 sequences where Luxembourg could not find the right guy at the right spot, which they didn't fall into panic. They controlled. Either Gudenkauf or Bobby Melcher, whoever was on the court, they controlled the tempo. They brought back the right play. They found the right guy, like they found, for example, Ben Kovac at one key moment where he hit that corner 3 in front of the Kosovo bench. Yeah, he got called a T afterwards for
taunting.
Yeah, but whatever. I mean, at that moment. The shot was way bigger than the T was a problem.
Yeah, and of course you mentioned Ben Kovac, and like I told you, he played like a man last night. Like his emergence in this game, I hope it continues. But he really, really, really impressed me today. Last night, he was trading threes, trading shot for shot with Castrati, and even taking him on defense. And just watching him play, getting rebounds, and again playing in that crucial stretch. I don't think he was taken out in the fourth quarter. That speaks a lot about Ken's confidence, Coach Ken's confidence in the kid.
Yeah, I mean, here again, I just read you the stat line. He had 18 points, 6 from 8 feet goals, 2 from 3-point shots, 4 free throws out of 4 attempts, 8 rebounds. I mean, he was the second best rebounder of the Luxembourg team for a total efficiency of 25. I mean, for a young kid like he is, I mean, the step he made this year by going abroad, really practicing on a professional environment, and it's a big difference how he plays compared to last season when he was still in Luxembourg and under army duties. And now he can fully concentrate on basketball, and he's really ready for this level, and hopefully also developing more and playing on a higher level in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, such a humble kid, that one. What else do we have here? Oh, any other thoughts on your end about the Kosovo game?
I mean, what is really important here is how Luxembourg played. I mean, they, as Coach Diederich said in his intervention before, they had really prepared a game plan based on what they have seen from Kosovo in previous games, and he mentioned like their help defense was not really great, and you saw that in this game. I mean, when one Luxembourg player attacked the basket, there was a help, but there was no one on the help-to-helper situations, and Luxembourg got so many open looks out of this, be it either on the cuts when Clancy was in low post, or drives when you had kick out passes. I mean, so many open shots, and we come here back to what we said in the beginning. If you have a big, physically strong team that is not very athletic or can run, I mean, yeah, this is what happens if you execute correctly. You just drive, everybody collapses, kick out, open shot, and if you make 10 out of 20 from your 3-point shots, you win the game.
Exactly. One thing that actually helped Luxembourg in the final quarter was free throws. We got Kosovo in penalty situation early on. That every time that they threatened to make a run, we would douse that fire with some free throw shooting. And like you mentioned, Clancy Rugg had 19 free throw attempts. Ben had like 6 or something like that. And that we got them in trouble that way by playing team basketball. And you'd see they were frustrated. They didn't expect Luxembourg to come out like this. And you could see that also when Alex Laurent took that corner 3 in the first half, and Kosovo player left his fingers on his face or something like that. But let's go back to Kosovo for a moment here. They actually have some really, really good players too. And we mentioned Castrati. One of the guys that actually impressed me was Ismaili. He came off the bench. He made, I think, 2 or 3 huge threes with confidence. You're the expert in European basketball players here. What are your thoughts on Castrati and Ismaili?
I mean, watching the game like this, I mean, I haven't scouted Kosovo before, so I don't know how this player look like in normal other games or in their regular season with their respective clubs. But I had some doubts about how their coach put in some players. I mean, you mentioned Ismaili, who came in only in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And he had immediately a big impact by scoring like something like eight points in a row. He made his shots. He was found on the shooting spots, and he made those. And well, we never saw him again later on in the game.
Exactly.
Another player I want to mention is, I mean, purely from the stats. I mean, if you check their backup point guard, Valon Bunjaku, he had a plus minus of 11, while their starting point guard, Divine Miles, had a plus minus of minus 19. And Bunjaku only played 6 minutes. So, I mean, it's a different style of play, how these two players act. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it would have been more effective to keep the rotation that they had in the previous games, because it was the first game of Miles in this qualification. And well, I mean, that's a choice you have to make as a coach and how you want to play. Of course, maybe Miles is a better individual player, but in a team setting, I didn't like it. No,
it just didn't feel like he fit into whatever system that they were trying to run in there. And you could hear that from the coach's timeout as well. Like he was basically yelling about not following systems. All right. Any wrap up thoughts on the Kosovo game before we look forward to the Iceland game?
I mean, you see how this team is progressing, is getting better. Every bubble, every window, they improve. they have now managed to beat twice a team on the road, not only at home. They play well, but also on the road in like what Coach Didrich called a hostile environment. I mean,
I can
okay, there were
imagine.
no fans. There were no fans, but still, I mean, those teams that host the bubble, they try to win because they
Mhm.
can qualify for the next round. So they do everything that they win. But yeah, Luxembourg overcame that opposition and put themselves now in a situation where they still can qualify for the next round. I mean, it's not only in their hands, but still, everything is still possible.
Exactly. And yeah, I like what you said about how this team has grown and how this team has developed. And, like a lot of credit goes to the individual players and their sacrifices um, in joining in, preparing for the bubble at the same time while, those who are abroad are still playing their games and those who are playing here in Luxembourg are also trying to get into the groove of the restart, which we'll be talking about sometime by next week in our next episode. But yeah, a lot of a lot of congratulations also has to go to the coaching staff and the federation as well. I think we held our own. The coaching was superb, I would say. I mean, it's not a reach to say that coach can outcoach his Kosovo counterpart there, and how his players have responded to him, you know, all throughout these past 5 games and going to the sixth game, like you mentioned, against Iceland. It's going to be a testament to just how good this team is at the moment and how good they can actually be and where Luxembourg basketball can actually be. Um, so we'll throw it back to Coach Ken here and his thoughts on the Iceland game before we wrap it up.
Yeah, and then looking ahead to Iceland, I think that they are the best team in the bubble. They have superb ball movement. They are well coached. They have all their players, or most of them play abroad in higher leagues like Spain or Germany, and a lot of college players. So they play together for a while. Great program. They won the group already, so maybe there's going to be a bit more rotations. They're going to sub out a little bit more. That's up to the coach. But we're ready. I think that we want more. I think we have one more game to play, and yeah, we want to beat those guys. If there's an opportunity, we're gonna give it a go, and hopefully we can play our best basketball again. Yesterday was obviously fantastic, especially the first half was nearly perfect, and then the second half, the way we held on was also phenomenal. So for us in order to beat Iceland, we have to really play the same way basically, and play with the same pace and the same confidence to have a chance against Iceland. So again, already now, great trip for us, but we're not done yet.
All right, we're not done yet. Fighting words by Coach Ken Diderish over there. Okay, looking forward, putting the Kosovo game to bed and looking forward. Um, Ken mentioned that Iceland already qualified. You think it's possible that maybe they could like bring in some of their or change their rotations a little bit to bring in get some more exposure for their bench guys? And I don't mean that they're gonna take it easy, but could be something that their coach is thinking of doing in a series like
I
this.
would be surprised. Yeah, I would be surprised if they do that. I mean, if you know the mentality of Icelandic people, they want to win, they want to fight, so they won't step down. They won't. I think they won't rest their key players, even if they risk eventually injuries or them becoming tired when they get back to their professional situations. But I mean, Luxembourg and Iceland, they have a long-lasting tradition to playing each other in those qualifications, but mainly also in the games of the small states.
Mhm.
And every victory you get over Iceland or over Luxembourg is a prestigious one for these nations. And yeah, I think they will go all in to win that last game of the process.
So it's basically a derby, is what you're saying. Almost
Well,
like
a
a derby.
derby, maybe not a derby, but it's a rivalry. It's certainly a rivalry. I mean, those two teams together with Cyprus are always those three teams that play for the medals in those games of small states. And yeah, that's here a key rivalry.
I agree with you about the Iceland mentality. You know, like they're never gonna give an inch. So I believe that this game is gonna be one hell of a slobber knocker, and it's gonna be an all out fight for both teams. But talking about that, who are the players that will look to dominate for Iceland in this game?
Yes, so there's on the one side the big guy Trygve Linnason, who plays in Spain, who is a player who's still very young to basketball, and he's progressing month by month. And he was really well contained by Luxembourg in the first game during the first half, but in the second half he showed why he is even considered by some people as a potential NBA player. He's really tough to guard because he's quite mobile for his size, physically very strong, and he learns really well how to play in the pick and roll. So Luxembourg will have a tough job to contain him in the paint. The other player that Luxembourg needs to get somehow under control is their guard John Axel Gudmundsson, who's playing in Frankfurt in Germany. He comes out of Davidson, the University of Davidson, where Davidson College, sorry, where also Steph Curry played. And he's his first year as a pro in Europe, and well, he's a very energetic player who can catch fire from three as well. I mean, he was the key player for them in the qualification game against Slovakia yesterday, and Luxembourg needs to find a solution to get him under control.
All right. And how about our Luxembourg team, Team Luxembourg? Like Ken mentioned that at some point, the last time that these teams played each other, we were up by 25 actually at halftime or something like that. And then, you know, at the end, Iceland managed to get that game. We let it slip away. But at this point, like Ken said, we have to play perfect or close to perfect, like we did against Kosovo. So, what are we looking at here for Team Luxembourg?
I mean, what is really important here to understand is that if you saw the last game in the Slovakia bubble against Iceland, Iceland really adjusted their game plan during halftime. In the first half, Luxembourg was up, and then their coach Craig Peterson, he made some changes on defense. You could see that, for example, he was guarding Oliver Jakovic with the big guy Linnason and not having him on Clancy anymore. These kind of changes were important and turned the game around. So here, Luxembourg coaching staff is probably working on finding solutions how to adapt and find a way to continue to play even once Iceland has adapted to what Luxembourg is showing them. And I mean, Luxembourg needs to play perfect, of course, to win. They need to play perfect not only for 25 minutes, but 39 and a half, let's say.
Yeah, I agree. However, comparing this last game to the Slovakia bubble game, you could see that the poise and the confidence is there for Team Luxembourg, and you know at this point it's a coin toss, I think. And if Luxembourg is able to maintain their quality of game or keep their heads in the game for 40 minutes, I mean, I won't be surprised if we're able to pull this off. And if not, then it's going to be one hell of a fight that we're going to give them.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, everything is still possible. Luxembourg needs to win if they want to go to the next round. So their game is before the Kosovo-Slovakia game, Saturday at 4. So, I mean, Luxembourg will go all in. They will try to win this game on all costs. And to not say in the end, we didn't go further because, yeah, we didn't play all that we could. So, as said, we need Luxembourg needs a perfect game, great shooting game, great defensive game, adapt their game plan on the on the run if needed, and keep the big guy out of the paint, and control their guards, especially also in transition.
Mm-hmm. And us coaches, we always like to tell our players like leave everything on the floor, and I'm sure that that's going to happen. With regards to the fighting team that we have right now. But then again, on one hand as well, like these are the games that you would want to be a part of as a coach. So I mean, I'm not second guessing anything, but what do you think is running in Coach Dideric's head right now?
Well, I guess, I mean, I can only guess, but I think he's discussing with his coaching staff and maybe also with the key players what are the different options that they have to play against this team of Iceland, and what are what is the game plan that they have to set up. I mean, they were working all night already on scouting the Iceland Slovakia game to cut film, that they have everything ready to work on today. I mean, they have practice today. I guess they have a practice tomorrow morning eventually to adapt their plays and their defense. And I mean, as Coach Diderich told us when we had him here on the podcast, this is the games that he's living for. I mean, have those international competition on the top level that is possible right now. This is what you want as a coach, and there you can grow. There you can measure yourself with the best at least of the level that you're playing at, and you have a chance to win. So go grab it, and then let's see what happens in the last game, and eventually qualify for the next round and have more games.
Yep, and like you said, we play first, right? So everything is in our hands, in our players' hands, in our coaches' hands. So guys, go grab it. It's yours for the taking, and give everything you have. Like, we're all proud of you, and proud of how the team has progressed. Proud of how you guys have, shown yourselves out there in the bubble, and we wish you all the best. So, from over here in Luxembourg, we would like to also ask everyone out there to tune in at 4 p.m. So, to end this, my name is Coach Nigel Tolentino from Black Frogs, and I have with me Coach Christophe from Ancillary Chef, saying thank you and good night, and good luck, Team Luxembourg.
Podcast.